My name is Barbara Sassower. I'm one of the dietitians at Eisenhower Health. I'm going to talk to you today about cooking with vegetables, creative ways to prepare vegetables. Some of these may be ways that you're already preparing vegetables. Some of these may be ideas you've heard of but never knew how to do, and some of these may be completely new to you. So there'll be some time at the end for questions. So let's get started. Do I know how to go to the next? Okay. So, one of the first things to consider, is just whether you want it to be, raw or cooked. So we're going to talk a little bit about, some ideas for raw vegetable and some ideas for cooking with vegetables. And if you love vegetables, then just having a plate of vegetables probably would be an exciting idea, just like that, just enjoying the vegetables on their own. But if you're just looking for some new ways to quote sneak vegetables in, we'll talk a little bit about that too. So and that could be fun to do just when you're trying to increase your vegetable intake and get more vegetables, into your daily routine, or if you're, trying to get some other people excited about vegetables and, looking to sneak them in. So on this slide, you'll see, broccoli, and this is just a little bit of what we're going to be talking about today. You'll see, that you can obviously just, serve a plate of broccoli, but, you can, get more clever with it and, add it to like a pesto type sauces. And, rather than, let's say, having a pasta with just, broccoli florets mixed into it, you could have the broccoli as the sauce, so, and that's just, one of many ideas we're going to be discussing. Same thing here, you see the same thing done with the cauliflower, where it's creamed into a cauliflower soup. And something to think about in addition to, whether you want it to be, raw or cooked, what excites you. Do you like crunchy things? Do you like creamy things, right? Because the same vegetable we're going to see shortly, can be prepared, so many different ways, right? So, thinking about that, as well, because a lot of people, are just more, sorry about that, black and white, and are thinking, I like cauliflower, I don't like cauliflower. I like broccoli, I don't like broccoli. But they've only maybe experienced it, one of so many different ways, So a lot of people might not like broccoli, but they love, a pesto sauce made from broccoli. A lot of people don't think they like cauliflower, but they love, cauliflower rice or cream of cauliflower soup or creamy Alfredo sauce made from cauliflower. Or we'll even talk about desserts made from cauliflower. So stay tuned. So here's another thing to think about is just the way that you flavor the vegetables, can completely change up the meaning of the dish. So and the way it's received. So so far we know we've talked a little bit about whether it's raw or it's cooked, whether it's creamy or it's crunchy. But how you're flavoring it is going to make a big difference between the type of dish that you're preparing. So, if you add curry powder, that's something that is going to make it more of an Indian type of, flavoring. Red pepper, can go many different ways. A lot of people, if they're watching their salt intake, especially like to use like herb and spice blends that have no added salt. And just as you get creative, there's just dishes from all over the world, and we'll talk a little bit about that and how just the same basic vegetables can be prepared so many different ways just by switching up some of the herbs and spices. So here, for example, you see the gazpacho soup, which is just the cold soup, but similar ingredients you could, make salsa with, There's also so many other dishes from around the world, just I put some of them on the slide. I couldn't put them all because there's so many of them, but these are just some examples, like even, let's say, your cauliflower, which we've, kind of had on the previous slide, just adding a little curry to cauliflower and potatoes, you can, make a something called aloo gobi, and it's just going to, taste a lot different than, if you did some other recipes with, cauliflower and potatoes, similar to like, that if you make a dish with eggplant and curry powder, you can make a, I don't know how to say it, I'm scared to say it, bangan bart or something like that, which is another, Indian dish of eggplant. And a lot of people are familiar more with like a Middle Eastern baba ganoush that people eat as a dish, or often as a dip. If you go to the store, you might see in the refrigerator section baba ganoush already prepared, and that's usually eggplant with a little bit of tahini, or sesame seed butter. So these are just, I'm not going to go through the recipes for all these things, but I'm just trying to show you just how even just some simple modifications just in the flavorings of some of these dishes, as well as the consistency, can give you a completely different final product. So another thing to think about, and I think children are probably more notorious for liking finger food, but they're certainly not the only ones who like finger food. If you just even like, to eat chips and things like that, and you're looking for, something that can replace your chips, or something that you can eat similar to chips, but that, gives you the satisfaction of eating vegetables, the nutrients of vegetables, the fiber, the chewing experience, there's, that's an option as well. And, here you see a picture of, breaded zucchini, but that same, idea can be applied to so many types of vegetables, and it doesn't have to be fried in grease. It doesn't have to be high fat. There's so many ways to do that. If you're trying to do a plant-based version, sometimes using ground flax seeds and water to make like an egg replacement, as a something to help the breadcrumbs, or a cornmeal or something like that stick. You can use that. If you're not looking for something completely plant-based, there's everything from egg whites, or even a whole egg, to yogurt, can be used along with something like a breadcrumb or a cornmeal on the vegetables, and they can just be baked. There are a lot of recipes too, even in the air fryer, with the similar ingredients and that sort of thing. And then you can eat them with your hands, and if you do like air fryer recipes, probably everything that can be done in the air fryer can probably be done in the oven. Just a slightly different recipe and time, and the heat might be different. But another thing that a lot of people like are making chips out of kale. That's something that can also be done, and you can put that in different seasonings. Sometimes people might add a little bit of oil or something like that to it. So there are some that use maybe a little bit of oil, but if you do use oil and you're just trying, not to use a lot of oil, sometimes the amount that you might use is not a lot relative to the amount of vegetables that you're using. So, sometimes that might help the recipe for this type of thing. And you can, just use, let's say, maybe a tablespoon for like many servings, so, each serving may have a very small amount, minimal amount of oil. Here I'm just going to talk a little bit about ways to make vegetables the center of the meal, right? So, and this is especially for people who aren't afraid to just love vegetables and don't feel the need to hide them. If you just want to really just make your vegetables the focal point of your dish, there's everything from stir frying vegetables, with whatever you like, really, anything from your rice or quinoa, and any kind of, protein of your choice, to something like an eggplant parmesan, where you're, layering the eggplant, with cheese or vegan cheese and tomato sauce and that sort of thing. Cauliflower, I mean, I think I could have actually spoken to you for an hour and a half just on cauliflower. Anybody who knows me knows I'm overly excited about cauliflower. So um, I feel like I'm not doing it full justice, just superficially discussing some of the ways you can prepare cauliflower, because there's so much you can do with cauliflower. But just to talk about a couple, cauliflower rice, that's very popular, and it cooks pretty fast. You can make it yourself if you chop your rice fine, or use a food processor, but you can also find it in the refrigerator section. You can also find it in the freezer section. There are even brands that are selling it non-perishable. That's very interesting as well. So what do you do with cauliflower rice? You can do so many things. You can prepare it in many of the ways that you would just prepare rice. So I often do a Spanish rice, with cauliflower rice, and it comes out looking, very similar to rice, to just regular Spanish rice, the same way you might season Spanish rice. Also, paella, I believe it's called. You can make simple paellas with it. So many different things. Another popular recipe with cauliflower are buffalo wings made with cauliflower. Where you're using more of the florets of the cauliflower, if you call them florets, right? And dipping them in a buffalo type of sauce and cooking them. And I think if you look in the frozen section, you'll even see a lot of brands are selling the cauliflower already prepared, with the buffalo type of seasoning. So when you cook it, you have something similar to buffalo wings, but you obviously don't have all the saturated fat from, actual buffalo wings, and you get all the nutrients in the cauliflower, and all of the fiber as well. Also popular right now is cauliflower pizza crust, so that's another way to easily get the, cauliflower in. Stuffing vegetables, such as peppers and mushrooms. That's, a really nice way to make the vegetables the part of the main dish. But it's nice because the way that they're shaped, you literally can stuff them with things and, use them, as almost their own little container, and this is especially true, with your peppers, depending on the size of the pepper, anything from a rice pilaf to a quinoa to whatever you want. I mean, beans, other vegetables, even a cauliflower rice pilaf, can be stuffed into peppers. It's so many different ways you can do that, and, hot or cold, cooked or raw. Again, that even your peppers, most people are familiar with, cooked stuffed peppers, but even raw peppers, you can cut the top off and, stuff them with all kinds of, fun things. So that's just a couple ideas there for peppers, and similar to portobello mushrooms. And portobello mushrooms are also nice if you're trying to cut back on meat. They'll give a really meaty consistency and meaty flavor. So a lot of people enjoy them, just for that reason. Also, very popular right now are the spiralized vegetables, which would be like your zucchini that's been cut in spirals, often referred to as zoodles. And you can find those refrigerated, you can find them frozen, or you could just buy something called a spiralizer and spiralize your own zucchini. And if you have the device, you can spiralize other vegetables similarly to make a veggie, quote, noodle. And you can, prepare that so many ways, the same way that you might eat your regular, pasta noodles, with sauce. You can do the same things with the with those types of dishes. Spaghetti squash is also one that can be prepared similarly to the pasta, and it's almost like your nature's version of noodles. You don't even have to cut the squash into little noodle pieces if you just bake it and you take out the inside. Anybody who's worked with spaghetti squash probably knows this, that when you take it out, it's going to be in little slivers, that are going to resemble noodles, and so many different ways that you can create that. And sometimes just if you are excited about spaghetti squash, sometimes keeping in mind that it might still be cooking a bit even when it's removed from the heat, so not overcooking that if you're wanting to really separate those noodles and not have them all get too soft to where they're congealing into each other. So that's something to keep in mind, especially if you're preparing that in advance and or want to make meals in advance for later with spaghetti squash. Veggie burgers, veggie kebabs, most people think of the store-bought veggie burgers, when I say veggie burgers, but veggie burgers are also something you can easily prepare at home just with any varieties of vegetables, chopped vegetables blended with just simple ingredients, even with a potato base or a brown rice base, or using even oatmeal or something like that as a binder. And there are many recipes like that. A lot of people will use something like a black bean burger, if they're looking for something more meaty and or to give it more protein. But any kind of beans, go nicely in veggie burgers as well. And whatever you like, really, there's just so many different ways, to create different types of veggie burgers, and veggie kebabs as well. So those are just some easy ways to make vegetables the centerpiece of the entree. Again, you can always just stuff your meal that you're already having with more vegetables. So, for example, if your usual breakfast is scrambled eggs and toast, or scrambled tofu and toast, just getting more creative with that and making more of a vegetable egg or vegetable tofu type of dish, is something that can easily be done. And if you don't like to chop vegetables, sometimes the ready chopped frozen vegetables can come in handy. Even your chopped onions, peppers, mushrooms, things like that, can easily just be mixed into those types of dishes. Wraps and burritos, are great for just stuffing with voluminous amounts of, high fiber veggies. So whatever type of wrap you're having, just looking at any kind of creative veggies that you can add to that, and they can be chopped raw vegetables, but they don't have to be. It can be cooked vegetables as well. There's so many different ways to do that. Another way is to actually make your something like your egg salad, or your mock tuna or egg salad. If you're doing it with maybe garbanzos and a veggie mayo, or you're using regular tuna and or egg with some mayonnaise, and just stuffing that salad itself with vegetables, right? So most people, I think, are familiar with like seeing like a tuna salad with celery in it, but that's not the only vegetable that could be added to something like that. You could add onions, you can add peppers, you can add anything you want. You could add, pieces of carrots if you want. So, just even just adding just those types of salads, and adding vegetables to those types of salads is going to add more veggies to the meal. Casseroles and pasta dishes. Obviously, you can always sneak in extra layers into casseroles and pastas. Spinach can easily be added to a lot of these types of things. Even your meatloaf or your bean loaf, you can easily add veggies to that. Zucchinis are popular. Onions people, usually add just in seasoning, but and don't think about it. But adding, more zucchini, spinach, onions, mushrooms, all of these, can really bulk up those type of dishes, with veggies. And depending on how much you want to notice the veggies, you can blend these in more of a chopped form, or you can leave them chunkier, and really appreciate the chunks of vegetables. But whatever you like. I mean, there's certain amounts of veggies that you probably can even blend into some of these things if you're trying to serve these for other people, and get more, who are trying to get more veggies in, who are less excited about seeing the veggies, or even if you just you want a little bit of different types of dishes, something like your mushrooms and onions, will usually add a nice savory taste to a meatloaf or a veggie loaf. And you can make that as conspicuous or inconspicuous as you like. Sandwiches and pita pockets, also a great way to stuff with vegetables. And sometimes people will make sandwiches. They'll add layers of vegetables, lettuce, tomato, onion. Those are always the most popular. But you can also slice your veggies, like your zucchinis or your eggplant, and grill these and make veggie sandwiches. Your roast peppers, you can even buy those in a jar, and make sandwiches out of that. And that's one way to start, making veggie sandwiches. At some point, you might find that the veggies are falling off the sandwich, and that's when something like a pita pocket, or even like a wrap, might seem less messy, and that you might be able to, get even a greater ratio of veggies in. So if your veggies are more shredded, then especially the pita pocket's probably going to be an advantage. But if you're using like a sliced grilled vegetables, you might, find that the sandwich works just as well for something like that. And desserts, adding vegetables to dishes like desserts. You're probably thinking, what in the world is she talking about? So I'm gonna not talk too much about that right at this moment, but we will get up to desserts made with vegetables in a few minutes. So just back to blending vegetables, right? As far as different times of day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, a lot of people really enjoy smoothies. And sometimes people get concerned about the, so much fruit being in a smoothie. I hear that all the time. People tell me, oh, I love smoothies, but I know there's so much sugar. And, one way to, easily solve that problem, as well as, solve the problem of trying to, get more veggies into the day, is just to make it a fruit/vegetable smoothie. And everything from kale, lately people have been telling me they're putting cauliflower in their smoothies, which I can't tell you I've tried. It's certainly on my to-do list. And but the kale, that's the one I've done many times, and is definitely delicious. And you can use the fresh fruit or frozen fruit, especially if it's more convenient and or cost effective to shop for frozen vegetables. Blending them in a smoothie is a really nice way to go, because the fact that they're frozen will actually help. You won't need to add ice. Sometimes adding ice will dilute the flavor, of the smoothie. So having those, frozen veggies can be actually helpful to keep the flavor more robust, not be diluting it. So that's something to think about. People will add carrots to these. I think you see a little picture of broccoli there, and just finding those creative blends that you enjoy. Some people will add, a little bit of cacao powder or carob powder. If you like more of a chocolate type of shake, that you can easily do that with those types of powders. Sometimes some frozen banana can be added. You can use, anything from a dairy milk to any variety of plant-based milks. Also, if you do want more of a milky plant-based milk, just even soaking the almonds, will give you a kind of an almond milk, when you blend that into it. And also, you have your soups and your sauces, which were on some of the slides in the beginning. You anything from a cream of any type of vegetable soup, from cream of mushroom soup, cream of cauliflower soup, cream of broccoli soup. And so, this is just definitely a way to get vegetables in that a lot of people who just wouldn't otherwise like some of these vegetables, may enjoy eating as a comforting soup. Sauces is so easy to do. I hate to say sneak vegetables in, but it's definitely an easy way to pour the vegetables over the meal, and not only get the nutrients in the vegetables, but add so many different flavors to the dishes. And not only that, often when you're using the vegetable as the sauce, it is displacing another version of a sauce that might have had things in it that you're trying to avoid or minimize in your diet, such as like a high fat or high saturated fat type of sauce. So also you have your guacamole and your guacamole that you can always add lots of veggies to. People have said to me, what is guacamole? So guacamole would be something that is similar to guacamole, but usually people are making a mock guacamole, when they're trying to maybe cut back on their fat or, or increase the volume of it that they can eat. So sometimes people might use frozen peas and something like that as the base. Other times, people might make a guacamole that isn't necessarily replacing the guacamole, but replacing the avocado in the guacamole, but it's stretching the avocado, so that the fat, per serving goes down, and or they can eat like a much larger volume of it, without getting more fat than they're intending to get, even though, your avocado obviously would be a beneficial type of fat. So often people might do like a frozen peas with the avocado and use that one avocado to make, many servings. But everything from your jalapeno to all of the other types of vegetables that you might see, your tomato, can be added to those types of things. And you can always then use the guacamole or guacamole as a dip to eat more vegetables. So, that's a delicious way to get veggies in, and can especially be a nice filling snack, and displace maybe some other snack items that were less filling and or higher fat, such as the some of the chips and things like that. And here you have a picture of roasted Brussels sprouts, and if any of you have consumed or cooked roasted vegetables, you can seriously alter the experience by getting that caramelized effect on the veggies. So it's definitely gonna give it a more roasty, nutty taste. And that can be done in the oven. It can be done in the air fryer. Usually the teeniest bit of oil, just brushed on the outside, is gonna help with it turning brown like that. But there's many, ways to do it even without, there's, if you're looking for recipes that are oil-free. But keep in mind, so, some of these recipes where you are trying to brown it, sometimes just your cooking spray or just an extreme light brush layer of oil, for like a large volume, might be all you need just to, give it that really roasted, nutty taste. Cauliflower, which we've talked about. So this is probably just a little bit of a summary. But I'm going to talk a little bit more about the the desserts that you can make with veggies here. On this last item, you see you have your fresh cauliflower, your frozen, your rice pilafs, your Spanish rice. We've talked about that, but your rice pudding is maybe something outside the box that you haven't thought of. So it's very simple to take your cauliflower rice and add everything from cinnamon to cinnamon, nutmeg, anything you might add in a rice pudding. You could use probably the same recipe that you have for rice pudding and do that. Sometimes just even adding cinnamon and the sweetener of your choice with a little milk, or whether it's dairy milk or plant-based milk, whether you're using some type of sugar, or your date sugar is an option. Some people might do a little stevia or a little vanilla flavored stevia. All these things can be used to help sweeten it, and with a little bit of milk of some sort is going to give you more of a dessert take on a vegetable like cauliflower. Oh, I think this slide is actually meant to be a little bit earlier, but this is just an example of how you could prepare, the vegetable noodles, such as the zoodles. And back to the dessert. So, you have like your, pudding type dishes. You can always sneak veggies into muffins, like your zucchini muffins, your grated carrots into like a carrot cake type of thing. Beet puree can be added, to different types of batters. Your brownies, can have everything from veggies to, we're not talking about beans per se, but like you'll find a lot of brownie recipes that might have like black beans and vegetables in them. Even your grated carrots and beet puree can be used as sweeteners in a lot of these baked goods, and zucchini as well. So so many different muffins and different recipes that you can bake a lot of these veggies into and end up with something that is a more of a dessert. And I think we talked about all of these, so the cauliflower rice, cauliflower Alfredo sauce, broccoli pesto sauce. And this slide is just leading up into some of the ideas that you might have that we haven't discussed for preparing vegetables. So that is basically it for today. I open to questions, comments.